be taking a look at the recent criticism that trailed the decision of the Speaker of the House of Representatives talking about Speaker that to sponsor a bill finding or imposing a prison term on Nigerians who fail to recite the national anthem or follow the uproar that surrounded it. The Speaker decided to withdraw the bill. But Johnny made this moment to take a critical look at it, and also looking at the motive behind that, and also the criticism that made the Speaker to decide to withdraw the bill. He's no other person than Chief Ahmed Peter, a former presidential candidate. It's a pleasure to have you this one.
Thank you very much for having me.
And also with me, media practitioner of excellence, talking about Alpha Jackie, also with us this one. It's a pleasure to have you this one.
To us, always thank you so much for having me.
Okay, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Let me start with you. I'm looking at really what really transpired. Let's take a look at probably the motive that must have motivated the Speaker to sponsor a bill to fine or impose prison term on Nigerians who fail to recite the national anthem. What do you make of this?
I think one is the misplaced priority. That's very key in our discussion as we move forward. And two, you are just talking about national anthem. The bill was beyond that. The bill was, as a way of even stiffening dissent, reducing the amount of people who could speak to those in government, making government as if government is higher than the people they are supposed to govern. Because it's a misplaced priority totally, and very embarrassing to see that the Speaker of the Federal House of Reps, that's supposed to be People's Parliament, to be acting in a way, an authoritarian way, to try to make sure that the Nigerian voices is suppressed. The right to protest is very clear. The right to assembly, to peaceful assembly, the right to movement. These are fundamental, in our constitution, 1999 as amended. If you combine the reading, you do combine reading of section 39, 40 and 41. So if the Speaker is not looking at the outcome of the protest, what is the reason why people protested? Is there hunger in the land? Is there what how do we solve to do that, solve the problem why people are complaining? Why is the cost of buying PMS is now 1,000 plus, and why we don't have it available? What is the Speaker doing about that? What is the Speaker doing about the level of companies leaving this country in order to be able to make... Look, the function of the National Assembly is very simple. It's to make good laws for good governance and development of the country. If the government cannot provide life and property, poverty itself is violence. The level of, yes, go and read it. Poverty is violence. Go and read it. So, and the level of poverty that our bad leadership, maladministration has created over the last 20-something years is enough for people to even try to ventilate their views. But when people talk about, wait, election is coming in like 4 years, you come and remove someone, that's not how politics work, and that's not how democracy work. Democracy work in the sense, even as much as you feel you have been elected, those who elected you still have the question to ask you questions, to demand that you represent them well. And if you're not demanding to represent well, you can also provide that you can be recalled. So the Speaker going out of the way to say that they will, it's even dangerous. It's dangerous for our democracy. It is not good, because I've had a situation where the National Assembly will wake up and then streamline the number of journalists that will enter there. This is they're closing the gap. They're gathering the space. The democratic space is supposed to be open. It's supposed to be democratic in its recess. What yardstick are you using to judge this, create these parameters? Look, my brother, if we must save this country, I've told Nigerian people on several occasions, citizens must be active. They must stop this docility. They must start to ask this question. They are not superior to us. The Supreme Court has said several times, even the president is not superior to the worker who work in the Federal Ministry of Works.
He was elected by his consequence.
That is a consequence. So it's painful that you see a man sitting on collecting bogus salary for doing nothing, for not making laws for good governance and protection of this country. Our banditry situation is getting worse. Poverty in the country is getting higher. Out of school children, there's no provisions for that. So it is this happening sincerely. These laws are draconian, and they have no place in a democratic society. They have no place in Nigerian democratic society, because people, they're right. You cannot give what has been given to us by God and by the Constitution. You can take it away by second hand.
The beauty of it is that this thing was actually introduced even before the recent protest. Exactly. But the timing is something I had a lot of problems with. He should know. 2 weeks ago, this country was almost at the precipice. Nobody was sure of where we were headed. Now you decide to reintroduce or even send this bill for second reading. More so when you know that, nerves are sore. I can assure you that the timing is wrong. There's something my counterpart here said. If you look at the provisions of that section about the national anthem was what caught the attention of everybody. It shouldn't be like that. In a democracy where you decide to say that dissent should have no place, I'm afraid it's not a democracy. It's a military dictatorship. There is something those in leadership must understand. They were voted in there. Tajuddin Abbas, Gospel Abakwadio, they are not there because they are the very best of Nigerians. They are there because their constituents, rightly or wrongly said, go there.
And sometimes because of our bad electoral processes.
That's the whole idea. Now, the whole idea is that once you find yourself, you are a servant. You are not there to dictate to people. Where is the place of consultation? If I may ask, before we go on to the next question. Yesterday, he said he was withdrawing the bill so that he will give room to consultation. You say democracy is not all about the government of the people, for the people, and by the people. Democracy is also about conflict resolution. Anything that you know will be anti-people. Yes, the majority may have their right, but can the minority also have their say? Now, if you try to say that, okay, because of one person, and you probably want to target somebody or target a few persons, I'm afraid what you're doing is that eventually it will bring down the whole house. There's no point. There's a common saying out there that one bad beans can actually spoil a million other ones. So we have to be careful, and those in authority should always have this behind their minds. Nigeria belongs to all of us, whether you're a leader or whether you're being led. And my advocacy this morning is that as Nigerians who are being led, let's begin to do the right things. I can assure you, if today I don't beat the traffic light, and tomorrow the traffic light in my area is not working, I have the right to call on whoever his responsibility is to fix that traffic light. But if the traffic lights are working and I am beating traffic light, at the end of the day I'm also guilty of something. So as countrymen and women, can we in our own strides begin to do the right thing so that we can salvage this country?
Can we say we have myopic leaders who can't see beyond their nose? Because when you make laws, they keep forgetting they are going to leave office. Let's take a instance of what Tajuddin Abbas is trying to do as Speaker of the House of Representatives. He has forgotten that he will definitely not be in the House forever. Don't you think that at the end of the day, this law will still come back to haunt him? Could you, for instance, how Senator Shehu Sani has been a vocal when it comes to about criticism of government? We are talking about things like that being that not giving the opportunity. Don't you think they have leaders who are myopic?
No, they have very myopic leaders, sincerely speaking, because you are looking at a law that will, even further weaken the multi-party democratic system that we are practicing. Because you are talking about when somebody protests and block the road, they should have fined 10 million, they should be put in jail. These are not law that has place in the democratic system. See, the fact is that this law is even dangerous. Like he said, it can bring down the whole house. Imagine some people wake up now and say, God forbid, and which we will never support, that this government we are the one in charge. So Nigerians can't protest against them. But Nigerians will, because those people will use the law to be able to justify their decision. So it is even the president Tinubu must look at this law and see that this law is even against him. Because this law is not going to protect him in office, it's going to put his office in danger. So they are not examining this process very well. And they are not seeing beyond their nose. Most times they develop table manners while they are eating. They can't act well. They can't speak out. Because they are in their house. Thinking that house, no, we are the speaker now. This is the people's house. It's not where you come and sing how they call it, like real boys. You have to come and be sincere and be straightforward to the Nigerian people. Because if the man leaves today and decide, like what the CX are doing, State Independent Electoral Commission, you know the people who are promoting that INEC should conduct local government elections today. You know the people. Our former governors who are in the Senate, former governors who are in the National Assembly, who are ministers, are the one pushing. Because they know how they manipulated the process against their opponent. They know how a person could be a former president and cannot win the castle in his ward. They know that. So they are now pushing so much because for them to get their state back, they want INEC to conduct the election so that they can now get their state back because they have lost power in the state. So that is the kind of decision that Abbas is taking. If Abbas now loses power and it goes about maybe they are trying to rig this election in the coalition side and they protest, they arrest him and handcuff him, will Nigeria be able to speak for him? Because he has created a lacuna in the democratic discussion. Democracy entails discussion, dialogue, several conversations for you to arrive at a moderate view that will assist the people, to be able to adjust to a better standard of living. What they are doing is the fact that it's government for the people in government, government for those who are representing us, and government against those who are supposed to be benefiting from the benefit that accrue to the citizens of this country. The citizen is number one when it comes to governance in any society. But in our case, the citizens are more impoverished because of bad leadership.
I'll just take it from him. You see, the bottom line is myopia for me is not the word. A lot of Tajudeen of us has a PhD. He's 60 years old. He's exposed. He understands the way things function in this country. I
don't think myopia has to do with education.
Hold on.
The short-sightedness.
I'm going somewhere. Is the disconnect between the people and those who are. You see, the bottom line is that if a man can tell you, I came to this seat with my money, to a large extent you should know that what he is telling you is that you don't have a say. So, I'm king, I'm boss, is what I choose to do, and whether you like it or not, thank God he even had the temerity to withdraw the bill. Thank God. But he said he's withdrawing for further consultation. You made mention of Sheikh Hussaini. Let's look at Sheikh Hussaini's antecedents. Don't forget he was a Nadeco member, one of the very few from the north, that even went into the trenches with the current president, when we were issuing Prof and whoever. You understand? Sheikh Hussaini, even while as a member of the Senate, still had a voice. Sheikh Hussaini is still speaking. You understand? The bottom line is the disconnect, and that disconnect has always been there. I wouldn't really understand what goes on. It appears a lot of them, once they get to power, something happens, they get encumbered, and then they forget where they are coming from. It's all about the people. The citizen is actually number one. He's sacrosanct in this equation. If, in the morning you're going to the office, sirens are scattering road for the high and mighty. The common man actually in this democracy does not have a voice. As long as we don't breach the gap, as long as we don't make use of our right to protest, as long as we don't make use of the fact that, listen, we can withdraw you if you are not doing what we asked you to go and do. As long as after 4 years we cannot say no, you did not represent us well, we want to try someone else, I'm afraid our democracy is still like.
Okay, let me take it further. When we talk about myopia, let's take a look at the fact that people want to participate themselves in office. It could be also another form of myopia.
That's true.
Interest of the people. How do you remain in office? Now, because you are looking at, you don't want people to attack you. You don't want people to say anything contrary to your view. So you just want to how do I ensure the remain? We talked about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who has always believed that democracy is the alternative, is the main hope of the masses. But when you come to the consultancy, people want to speak out. People are recently, some few years back, we had a situation where some sportsmen and women in the United States of America refused to recite their national anthem, even decide to take a kneel because they believe the country is not doing it. It wouldn't have made sense for the United States of America at that point in time to have sent those athletes to prison for not reciting their national anthem. Is that not what? Now when you just oppose what Speaker Abbas even sponsor, you ask yourself, what are these people doing? Do they even know what they are doing?
You see, there are many things they do, and it brings pain. Yeah. Today, people go to parties in Nigeria spraying dollars. People go to parties in Nigeria printing fake papers. Yeah. You see, when the money is in your position, it's your money. Yeah. And when you advertise your resources and you advertise whatever you have, it's a way of promoting that value. People have culture, and today they have restricted the spending of our money in our party, and people buy dollar. We will also affect the cost of dollar. You see, they are making laws for things that don't need laws. Something that would have changed with the speed of time. You see, you talked about traffic light, citizen beating traffic light. If the leaders are not beating traffic light and not pressing them and passing, then we learn. Look at Singapore. Lee Kuan Yew was exemplary in all he did to stabilize Singapore in the 30 years of his management. So you can't have leaders who are creating chaos, who are acting against the concern of Federal Republic of Nigeria, who are going against the people's interest, and you expect the people to understand. Leaders who say you should tighten your belt while they are losing their buying private jet at 150 billion in an austerity period. Leaders who say we should look at the Russia report and cut parastatals and NDAs down to 161, who are now even increasing ministries and parastatals. So leaders leaders who speak with double voice because they are myopic, like I've said before. And the truth is that it's about short-sightedness. They are not looking at after government. They are in government today. You can't live forever. What people do is what you do in government that will become like of a footstone that people remember you and they talked about you for centuries to come. What they are doing is that they want to be remembered at this time and for this purpose and for this reason. And then when they leave office, people say, hey, yeah, we thank God he has left. So this is a part of the myopism that we are talking about. And for us to get this right, the people must participate in government. The fault of the reason why we are being taken for granted, why the people in government think if you do protest and you have no mass protest and no mass participation, it will fail. And the people in government have defeated the people because the people have collective problem. This collective problem is that there are no public schools that are functioning. This collective problem is that there's 62 kilometer road from Enugu to Anambra that is not working. There's a state road from there to there that is not working. There's road from Lokoja to Abuja that is not working. These are collective problem because some of these people you see in the last probably 20 years, none of them have traveled on this road. They are on their chopper and plane. So we must sit down that we have a collective problem and we must put our government on their toes to be able to reason well that the interest of the people is more important. We have government spaces where people can't go to farm anymore. This is what should be on the front burner in the National Assembly. And going forward, election, if elections are not judged to be free, this is cardinal foundation how we can sustain good governance. Without this foundation, there will never be good governance. And that is why we tell INEC all the time that if you are doing this thing for the interest of those in politics, you are actually damaging the interest of people who are supposed to be the beneficiary of governance. That means you must have a free, fair and credible election so that people will know that whatever decision they are taking now, they can be scorecard, and that when election come, they can be elected or re-elected or booted out of office by the PBC of those who are supposed to cast their vote. So clearly speaking, people, especially those in the National Assembly, have not acted in the best interest of our democracy.
Can I just add something? You know, talking about myopism, I would still want to define it, and this is what I mean. Myopism in collusion with the people, in collusion with those who vote, in collusion with the starters around that are responsible for whatever and whatever. No. If the people say we don't want you, listen, my dear brother, there is a level to which you can rig elections anywhere in the world. There is a level to which you can rig elections. If the people come out to say we don't want this man, it will stand. Can we begin to think that way? Because who is more myopic? Is it the man who will come and give you bags of rice, give you Maggi, give you money at the end of every 4 years, he disappears for 4 years, he comes back, maybe all you see is you see him on national television and whatever, who is actually more myopic? It's the man who is receiving and allowing this fellow to perpetuate himself in power. I always want to look at issues from the whole. You understand? Nobody is standing alone as far as this democratic journey is concerned. The politician, the elect, and those that are leaders is a collective whole. And who gets there is dependent on what the people, as you rightly mentioned, electioneering is usually skewed. If for any reason your leadership recruitment process is skewed, I can assure you we'll get to see more of these things. But President Trump almost went against one of those athletes, right? In the US. You remember? Trump almost, Trump called him names. Trump even said something about the guy's mother. That was how we went. You understand? You must look at the temperament of those who are your leaders. Those who are leading. Let me tell you, the protest that just went. Somebody asked me, will you be participating in this protest? I said, do you know why? I gave him two fundamental reasons. I told him those who are the head of affairs in this country today, it was protests that gave them the leverage, that gave them the leeway to get there. Many Nigerians believe, oh, these ones are progressives. Let's see if we can just have a change. But look at where we are today. Now, I will not allow somebody who is a protester today to also hoodwink me or deceive me into giving him an opportunity down the future to come to national consciousness. He wins political And then at the end of the day, he's not listening to you. So those are the two major reasons why I said, as far as I'm concerned.
I totally disagree with you. I was on the street.
Before you react to that, let me take a look at this. One of the main identifying marks of this government has been the fact that they take decision before consultation. Without situation where it's a memorandum of understanding, there's a situation where people consult. Let's take for instance, when Governor wanted to secede that there was a consultation, referendum, where people voted. At the end of the day, it didn't come to pass. In situation like this, Speaker Biden did that, said, okay, now he wants to consult. After initially putting the bill before the National Assembly, when the series of popular criminals decide to retrieve it and now want to consult. Why can't we consult before we present something?
Even in the National Assembly, there's what they call this public hearing that you have to do it, and if it comes to something like this national, why not do it zone by zone? And anything, you see, you can't put something on top of the provision of the Constitution and you expect it to stand, because even if you go to court of law, it will be thrown away. That's the truth. He didn't speak to his lawyers, because you can't restrict that provisions of section 39, 40 and 41 where it talks about freedom of association, movement and speech. So you can't restrict that. And we have also already signed to plenty convention of the international conventions and United Nations peace pact on human and people's movement. So you cannot wake up and then decide that, this is what I'm going to do because we are in power today and we have people protesting on the street against us. So what we should do is to make sure that those who are having dissenting opinion against those in government cannot speak. It's like a gag order. So what I'm saying in the recess, I want to also digress a little bit to talk about my colleague here said. See, protest is very important. We have not had mass protests. What was done during the time of June 2012 and all that with Tinubu was a sponsored arrangement where people sit in Ojota and then play music and then protest. If the people are mass, just like you talk about the election,
but it had an effect on the people.
Just like it never had. If it had an effect, Tinubu had the lowest score rate for election in Nigeria. 8 million votes, less than 10% of the total registered voters. He's president because of our bad system of electoral system that's not working. You talk about beavers, you talk about uploading. I saw one of the guests from Benin City talking about these laws have to be made as cast in stone. We know what these laws are supposed to be. It is the provisos that are added to that law that are working the transmission of election by beavers to the IRF. So if we can resolve that, if the people can demand that is resolved, that is compulsory, that every polling unit that from AC8A must be uploaded to the IRF, because if it's uploaded, being uploaded in the PDF form, so it is almost impossible to alter them. And that was why you found out in that election they refused to upload. The system was there's a fake glitch that happened that made sure that upload didn't happen. So they know the effect of that upload, and they know the power that the kind of data that will be stored there would have given to those who are contesting the election. So what I'm saying is that our people must know, like he has said, he made a very vital point, that during the election, if the people are aware, if the people know they are right, bad leaders will not emerge through the election, the electoral process. But the fact is that in rural communities, where these people are deliberately impoverish our people, I contested for House of Rep. I know the communities, they are deliberately impoverish our people. So there's no basic amenities, there's no proper educational system. This is why in their forest communities, surviving every day by day subsistently. So when you bring bag of rice, what I'm trying to say, it affects, they have already, affected their sense of reasoning. So we must continue to canvass. We must continue to protest. Some people saw me on protest. I'll show you videos. People saw me on protest on my community. They called me, big man, they protest. I said, no, it's not for me, it's for my children. It's for the future generation, so that we can be able to speak, so that people will know that it is the only way you can, the another way that you can put government in check. You don't have to wait for 4 years. You don't have to.
But what's such a worry for me is our system producing the right leaders.
No, because it's skewed.
Because for the past 20 years,
in my opinion, leaders should emerge from the bottom, not from the top down. That's my opinion, and that takes me to react to something he just said. You see, when you say these people have been impoverished, right, Tony? the local government system in Nigeria, is it working?
It's not working.
It's not working.
That's it.
So can we begin to look at the local government that should be the closest to the people?
Yeah, but when you look at what is happening right now, we're talking about the kind of people we are producing right now. Look at what has just happened recently with the recent Supreme Court decision of giving autonomy to the local government.
Autonomy wasn't given to the local government.
It's just financial.
Of financial, people are making in section 162 that was abolished. Section 197 is still standing Gidigba, which controls CX. And CX are actually under the armpit and caprices of those state governors. Emperors who have mismanaged state.
Now we have the situation in Oyo State. We are the members of the local government in Oyo State said they are taking yourself out of our hand and they are saying, don't give us our money.
They don't have the power.
Look at it. Don't give us our money directly. Give us to the government. Now look at the kind of situation we have in Oyo State. The kind of people we are producing. But it's also to certain extent a reflection because the government will determine who becomes the local government chairman. That is how do you get to the situation? Because we keep talking about producing people like Speaker Abbas, who sponsored you that is only to its own service, so it's only for its own selfish interest, not for the interest of the people. And we keep producing those people at our local level because we continue to produce wicked leaders who are not fighting for the interest of the people.
Your average governor in Nigeria is a very powerful person. Why? Because of the subservience over the years. Now some kind of freedom is coming. If at all it will be operationalized, or if the operations will be proper. If a man gets his allocation, let's say from the first line child, it will get to a point that he'll be able to look at the governor and tell him no. I hope you understand.
To get the point that
yes, it will get to that point. So why can't we easily follow this process? You see, some of us have been around for a while. So let me tell you, during the military, or during the Baiki, when General Babangida was in power, I met a particular local government chairman around 8 in the evening. He was supposed to pay a friend of mine who did a job for him. This guy told us around 8 in the evening that as it is, he has about 2 million naira now. He won't be able to pay my friend. My friend needs to come back tomorrow. Now, the way this guy was speaking was as if these funds are his personal funds. These were local government funds. Alright? My friend who is late now, may he rest in peace, eventually got his money tomorrow. But you know, this was during IDB's time. You understand? Look at where we are today. Can we as a people begin to purge ourselves? Because let me tell you the truth, democracy itself is a dynamic process. It's not something you will get in one day. American democracy is over 200 years and still they are doing all they can to fight to make sure democracy is sustained. We need to do same here. You understand? It cannot be Eldorado. It cannot be something that will happen overnight. It's a process, and a process is something that is dynamic. Sometimes you take one step forward, you take 2 steps backward. You view the issues and then we move forward. The bottom line is that can we as a people begin to look at the role the local government is playing? Can we begin to look at the role the state government is playing? I cannot tell you that if we do that, we'll begin to dissipate power. We'll begin to see devolution of powers come to play. It's not enough to sit down and say, oh, this should be on the concurrent list, this should be on the exclusive list, this should be on the residual list. We are gradually getting there. There was so much talk some years ago about let's restructure this. We all agree. But nobody has had the guts to come out and say, okay, the APC in the last administration set up a committee led by Erufai. We never had anything thereafter. Because I can assure you, these people know the power of the people. Hence, my clarion call today is that as this democracy moves forward, I don't expect that everything will work out overnight. No. I don't expect that the leadership process will work out overnight. It's a process. But anytime an opportunity avails itself so that we can get to move a step forward, I mean, we are talking about what was withdrawn yesterday because it's a democracy. Now, the beauty of it is, I can assure you, next time something like this is going to come up, they know what the backlash is, so they won't even try it. There was something he said about probably he didn't talk to his lawyers or what have you. You know, one thing I found out is I think these people don't listen. I think these people don't listen. Those who are doing the jobs are doing the job. Look at the security sector of this country. One thing I have always said is that my sincere belief is either those at the top don't take to recommendations of what, maybe for political reasons, for what the foot soldiers are doing, because as far as intelligence gathering is concerned, I think those that should be doing same are doing their bit. But if it gets to August table and about for some political, for some religious, for some economic. No. This person is my friend. It's his son that is involved. It will affect our relationship because we are beginning to put self beyond country. Yes. So as countrymen, it's a valid problem. I want to believe that with time we will get it right.
And just before we wrap up this thing, looking at what has happened right now, with the decision to like the speaker to withdraw this bill, how do we ensure that such kind of bill don't come to the forefront?
I think there are two ways to ensure that. The one, there's this public hearing and all that. This public hearing, they also don't listen, like he said, because they still end up, coming with an aggregated view and say the eye has it. So, but in the recent, there's this public hearing, that will, come before the bill being discussed first and second reading before making it to law. And I know the Constitution say that there's no court that can stop the National Assembly from performing its function of lawmaking. So you will now wait for the law to be made, and if you find out the law, contradict the provisions of the Constitution, you go to the court, and the court will quash it, because there's no way you can make a bill, to superimpose it on the authority of the Constitution that it will stand. So, and generally, the problem we also have problem in state, but people don't understand that the state is so powerful. The state controls the traditional council system. You can't do anything. They can remove as powerful as the king is, can be disposed. The state judiciary system is weakened. And at the Buhari time, and they try to make the judiciary get their direct land charge, from the federation account, but that doesn't work well. Then the number three, the state assembly are in a vegetative state. They are almost irresponsible. They are the weakest link in our democratic practice, because they are hallelujah boys. They are always singing praises. We support them, and they are always singing praises of the government instead of try to sing praises of our people. Local government system is weak. Is non-existent. It's not just weak. It's not there, because I have been there. I see council rolling on the floor.
Sorry to cut you. When we talk about this local government, I remember in the 80s, we used to have local government chairman who are supposed to be strong. There are instances when we think the local government chairman is very struggling now, and people go to the local government chairman's house to block. We are not here. Let me just conclude. By even just 1998, here when we were coming to this Fourth Republic, local government election was conducted by INEC. It was after 1999 when the presidential election came in, and the 1999 constitution came in, that they now started the next election in 2003 that was considered by CX. Because my own local government chairman used to tell the governor, how the both of them lead now, Sunday Akko and Audu, used to tell him that I'm the governor of this local government, can't tell me what to do, because his money was coming from the red light check. As of 1998 to 2003, that happened. So the problem is that we have over 8,000 councillor seats to be contested across Nigeria for young people to participate, and then you start the growing of leadership from the bottom up. But it can't work because they are appointing people who are. So how do you change that before this next election? The only way you can change it is that you deal with Section 197 of the Constitution, and then you resolve that. And then when you resolve that, you get a better opportunity to be able to promote good governance at the local level. We need to make sure that it's either the CX are taken away from the governor totally and make independent, so that the national judicial body, even the INEC, we are looking at even the INEC, the president shouldn't be appointing the INEC chairman, because you can't be appointing the referee in a match that both of you are going to play. You can't be appointing the chief judge in a community where we will take our cases to. So there will be processes that will be streamlined, and all these things are already captured in the Justice to Raise panel, Raise report on electoral reform. So we must sit down as a collective and discuss this situation properly well, because we cannot continue in this direction and expect, because we are progressing in error. We are progressing in a way that governance is not responsive to the people.
I know. You see, there was something he probably escaped his mind, but he has spoken my mind. The bottom line is this: the major difference between Tinubu and any major governor in this country is defense and foreign affairs. That goes to tell you the power that a governor has in this country. We are out of time. My clearing call is, let's begin to see how we can re-strategize. Let's begin to ask our governors what is happening to the allocations that is coming to you. Let's also begin to fixate our searchlight on the local government channel. Whether we like it or not, as I did mention in my earlier remarks, it's a process. Hoping that someday we will get there. But the bottom line is that it's a journey. Let's keep servicing the vehicle. Let's keep fueling the vehicle. Let's not forget something. If as a country where we are today is that the led and the leaders have run the ship of state aground, It is time for all of us to come down. Let's roll that ship back into the water so that we can.
I must say big thank you to you, Chief Peter, former presidential candidate, for joining us this morning, and also after Jackie, who did that position, by excellence, also for linking up with this morning.